Hey, how's it going everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Wrestless Radio. This is an episodic podcast diving headfirst into the wacky and wonderful world of professional wrestling. I'm your host and longtime wrestling fan, JCWXWRW, and joining me on this log flume adventure ride and the overall coolest perspective in this equation, he is the smoking hot smoker himself, Scott Nananovich. Scott, how's it going?
I'm very well, thank you today, Julian.
Yes, we are dealing with a bit of a winter cold now here in Melbourne, a bit of a chill in the air.
Well, it's very different to the usual fucking hot weather that we're recording to.
We're taking a break from storyline stuff here and putting Austin versus McMahon on hold just for a brief moment with a little special episode we have where we talk about a local indie show. Now, that wouldn't seem like a big deal to most, but on this one fateful night, our young, hormone-crazy teen finally went to second base with wrestling. He allowed wrestling to fondle, he allowed wrestling to feel, but in a moment of heated passion, Scott uttered the words, "Go daddy, fuck me daddy." Yes, wrestling popped the cherry, live and in living colour when Scott and I went to view Progress X MCW. Yes, the UK's Progress and Melbourne City Wrestling put on a cross-promotion event as part of Progress's tour of Australia and New Zealand. The event was held on April 20 at the Thornbury Theatre with 7 matches on the card that were stacked with star power. And a horny little Scott wanting to get his rocks off. Scott, we had a ball at this event.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic event.
It was my first Australian independent show that I've been to. I've been to a few in the UK, and I had a ball there as well. Saw some WCPW shows. But yeah, this is your first wrestling show.
It was very different to what I expected. I mean, I've definitely been enjoying watching wrestling on TV or on the network, but being there in person, I gained such appreciation, even more so for wrestling and just what, the independents are doing and what they're doing different to the mainstream kayfabe WWE stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's important to see the live wrestling, and I wanted to document it with an episode for it, because it's a different experience to what you watch on TV.
Well, I'd say it's pretty significant to my understanding and appreciation for wrestling.
Your evolution as a wrestling fan.
Well, I mean, we've already booked our next tickets to the next show, so...
You have become a man, Scott, right now. Mazel tov. Now, before we talk about the show itself, when we're lining up to actually get in the venue, or when we're waiting around for the show to start, atmosphere-wise, what vibe are you getting?
Well, when we got there, so doors opened at 6:30.
Yeah.
You were very insistent. Man, we gotta get there as early as possible. And me, I'm like, nah, fuck that. I don't like getting places early.
Yeah.
I could not believe the lineup.
Yeah.
To get into this place at 6:30 when the doors open.
Line around the block, basically.
Oh yeah, that was insane. That was like a huge shock. And then once we got in, even with the lights on, it was so cool to be in that huge environment, knowing that everyone in that room loves wrestling.
It is a very camaraderie sort of feeling being in that venue. And it was interesting because it's like, if you're just a passerby walking past, seeing a massive line wrapping around the block and wondering what the fuck is going on there.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to watch some lads roll around for a bit.
Well, I remember when we were lining up, there were like a couple of people trying to get in and out of restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
That were, because this is a street in Northcote, I believe.
Yeah.
Heaps of restaurants. And they're just like looking really annoyed at all these, wrestling fans.
Yeah. Really inconvenienced them.
Yeah.
But when we did actually get into the venue, it was very, very large venue. How many people do you reckon that venue held?
Oh.
I don't have the exact attendance numbers, but I would assume 500?
Yeah, something like that.
500 would be a good guess. So it was a decent size indie event.
There was a lot of people standing up, and there was, I think, 4 rows of seating around each side of the ring.
Yeah. Good
There
amount
was-
of seating anyway.
There was heaps of people standing as well,
Yeah.
including us.
Yeah. If you do go to an indie show, I would recommend paying a little bit extra for the seating.
Yeah,
It's a lot more comfortable.
yeah.
Especially because I felt like we had a bit of bad luck with some annoying fans.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, so we had the one guy that was just laughably annoying.
He was a very strange guy, really tall guy.
Yeah, it's probably the same height as me because I'm like 6'5". He was probably about the same size as me.
It's pretty rare for us to find someone.
Yeah.
We actually, Julian and I, did have a joke, mostly me, making fun at him, saying how funny it would be if someone taller than Julian stood in front of him, because the chances of that would be so slim.
Yes.
And then as soon as we get in there, this massive tall guy just starts like easing towards standing in front of us.
It was very weird because it was just like he didn't care. And the funny thing was he kept taking people's seats that were already pre-booked.
Oh yeah, well, like the tickets were $40.
Yeah, it's like people aren't gonna no-show. So he kept doing that, and then his mate came, and then they both kept doing that because the people that had the booked seats kept showing up and saying, "You're in my seat, mate." And so they kept doing it until finally that they gave up, and then some fans nearby gave him a bit of shit, which was funny.
Oh well, those two had actually stolen those guys' seats,
Oh yeah.
and then they moved more. They kept moving more forward, so
Yeah.
the seats that people are gonna take them.
Yeah, basically.
That was very amusing.
Yeah.
So
And you also had another instance. You told me about it later. I didn't see it happen, but someone made fun of you because you were filming.
oh yeah, like one of the matches, I was like, because my brother has been a wrestling fan for quite some time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just film this and send it to my brother just to...
Not as if you're like filming it for bootleg reasons. So
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I want a bit of footage to like remember.
Yeah, these two guys standing next to us, they're actually pretty annoying during the match. They kept calling out stupid shit, trying to draw attention to themselves.
Yeah.
They like looked at me and they're like, "Oh, are you seriously filming this?" And then, two of them are laughing. I'm like, "Oh, well, that feels kind of shit." I'm
Yeah.
like, because I guess, I don't really know that much about wrestling. So it was a bit like, oh, well.
Well, I told you, like, yeah, don't like pay any attention to those people.
Yeah.
It's fine. So the show opens up with Jim Smallman, who is the founder of Progress and ring announcer for the evening. Basically gets the crowd up and going for the opening match, which we thought was a fantastic opener for the show, which is a three-way dance for the Inter-Commonwealth Championship. I love the name of that.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
We have Slex the Business versus Loverboy Lockie Hendricks versus Trent Seven. This match was bloody fun.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of everything in terms of comedy, strong style, and crowd interaction. What did you think of your first live match?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Everything about it. The characters, the comedy wrestling.
Yeah.
It was such a good match to hype up the crowd. It was a perfect start to the night, I'd say. For me, my favorite elements of wrestling are the comedy spots and the characters. And some of the characters that MCW has made really cool and different to what we've seen before.
You've picked a perfect point to bring that up because I've written a bit about it. I think the thing that stood out to me this whole show was the wacky characters. Almost everyone had a clearly defined character that you could say straight away, you know what they are, you know what they're about. And everyone isn't just a guy that can wrestle or can do a cool move. It's like the wrestling ability, as great as it was, the character was on par with it. And that was really, really cool to see. Because the thing I hate about mainstream wrestling is the lack of characters. You need that. You need that wackiness, the embracing of creativity. And I feel like that's something that's lacking, and I was really happy to see that MCW and Progress itself were embracing that, definitely. A lot of really fun characters on this show. Can we talk about Slex for a bit?
Oh, man. Slex the business.
That character is money.
Oh, yeah.
The electronic synthwave entrance music. I'm a sucker for 80s style synth. So that kind of hooked me straight away. The studded jacket and the sunglasses that he came out with. He's also shredded to shit. Like, he's fucking cut. And his name is Slex. It's the douchiest, like, 90s high school bully name that you could possibly think of, and it works perfectly. The business gimmick is great. He looks like a wanker that works in marketing and, like, goes to the Melbourne Cup with the lads. That's what his face kind of reminds me of as well.
Yeah.
It's perfect, though. It works fantastic.
Oh, the crowd loved him.
Oh, yeah. He was so over. Yeah.
Like, as soon as his entrance video popped up,
yeah.
where he, you know, what music was playing?
It was some 80s sort of instrumental.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, electronic music.
And it was just like, there was the shot where he just slowly puts his glasses on in time with the music. And it just comes up with Slex, the business.
That was something that surprised me about the show, was the entrance videos were actually really, really well produced. Yeah, they were very, very good. Honestly, I would keep an eye on this guy. He'll be big wherever he goes. I want to ask you about the crowd chants throughout the night, actually, as well. Did you enjoy the level of crowd participation?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
The crowd was so ecstatic with all the different characters.
Yeah.
And, like, it was so cool to see the wrestlers reacting to the crowd.
Yeah.
And interacting with them. Like, Trent Seven, at one point, he got, you know, some glasses from one of the audience members and, you know, putting shit on Slex for his, you know, glasses gimmick. And that was really funny. And just to see, I guess they get a lot more freedom in the indie scene. Yeah,
you don't really have to worry about, like, I guess, kayfabe as much. It's more just like, let's just have fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's no storylines or anything. It's just kind of like, let's just have fun with it. And that was a great thing about the show, is like everyone just kind of, even the wrestlers, the fans, it was just a fun environment to be in.
Well, you described this show as more of a showcase event.
Very good advertisement for both companies. Also, obviously the great thing about being in a live crowd is also how loud the crowd is compared to on television and online. That's why I think anyone who isn't a fan or is a bit skeptical about wrestling should go and watch it live, because it's very difficult to sit in a room with 500 people who are all having a time of their lives and still be a cynical bastard.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do that. Moral of the story, go watch wrestling. Another great match on the show was Alan Payne versus Jimmy Havoc. I was very nervous about this match because I didn't know what you would think about Jimmy Havoc. Because Jimmy Havoc is a deathmatch wrestler.
Oh.
Yes, he's a very hardcore-centric wrestler. I saw him wrestle for WCPW in the UK. It was a pretty bloody match. But with this one, it was a pretty digestible hardcore match. Very, very digestible hardcore lunch, I would say.
Yeah.
Very easy going on the stomach. Yeah, he had a fantastic match with Alan Payne. And you particularly liked Jimmy Havoc's get-up in terms of his aesthetic.
Yeah, I thought he was really cool. I mean, the red and black. The red and black is something we've seen plenty of times before. It's nothing new. But his take, I don't know, it felt fresh. And it was really cool seeing him come out with that kind of psycho mask.
Yeah.
His character being the goth from Camden.
Yeah.
That really suits that area, because Camden is very gothic if you've ever been there in the UK. Yeah, no, I did like his character, and I liked the kind of gimmicks that he has and the take of this event on his gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like the paper cut gimmick.
So the spot in the match where Alan Payne goes onto the ring to get a 8x10 of Jimmy Havoc and a pen, I guess. He jumps in the front row and pretends to be a fan asking for an autograph.
Yeah.
Jimmy Havoc obliges.
Yeah.
Gives him the autograph and then realizes, wait, why am I doing this? Great comedy wrestling, great kind of slapstick. And then he gets the piece of paper and cuts the webbing of Payne's fingers, basically. He does that spot quite frequently with the paper cut spot. And I think it's such a relatable spot, if there ever was one.
Yeah.
But of course, talking about this match, we have to talk about Alan Payne.
Oh, he is an amazing character.
I loved how fucking weird this guy was. It was great.
So then I said, as if you were the very thunder god himself. Straight from the great man's lips. Blasphemy, no? Yes, I know. But now I have an appointment with the wolf. And how I love the wolf. You're not going to want to miss that. I promise you. No. As I was saying, I don't like having my photograph taken. I don't like the man it turns me into. I mean, you see something like this, and you see the contours of the body, and you say, there's a hard-working individual. I respect that. I see a man who's pretending to be smug, pretending to be arrogant, already thinking about how the photograph will be perceived, rather than be in the moment itself. What a way to live. What a mess we're all in.
He was basically this really jacked homeless guy. He seemed like a drifter or like a wanderer type character who wasn't all there and just really eccentric. Alan Payne and Slex, I'd say, were two guys that stood out for me. In ring and character-wise, I thought they were so great. The match was also great for crowd brawling, which you got up close and personal to the action, and the look of pure joy on your face when you saw these two belting the shit out of each other right in front of you. It melted my heart.
I was like so excited.
You were happy.
I had this security guard pushing me back. I was right there looking over his arm and just seeing these two guys going at it, and I lost it.
Yeah. They had a lot of fun crowd brawling, and the match itself was great. Hopefully if you find it online, go check it out, because it is a fun one. We also had Pete Dunne on this show. The Bruiserweight, the man that you hate.
Hated.
Past tense.
Because that was the first match that we watched, and I hated him rolling out of the ring to recover, feigning injury and such, but seeing him in person was so cool. Like, I loved how creative he was with his mat wrestling, and in the past I've said that I don't really enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
I used to find it boring, but after seeing the Bruiserweight do his thing, the look of pure joy in his eyes as he's bending fingers. He's got the guy's arm like twisted backwards, and then he puts his knee on top of their arm. Like,
it's such little details that like make it perfect. And the fact that he's just like this really like creepy looking guy as well. I'm not to rag on his looks or anything, but it suits the character perfectly. He's a rough looking dude. And his facial expression, especially with the mouth guard as well, he looks like a fighter, and he looks like something who's dangerous, and that's the vibe you get from him. But yeah, he had a really good match with Mike Burr. But the main event of this show was a triple threat match for the Progress World Championship. Travis Banks versus Elite Sexton versus JXT. I like that name. It's good. Now, this match was amazing. Really good elimination triple threat match. There were 2 triple threat matches on this show, but I do appreciate the difference with this one being an elimination one. That was a nice detail. But there was one spot in this match that was particularly memorable.
oh, phenomenal.
Oh, it was amazing. So, a suicide dive by Travis Banks, which should be renamed Homicide Dive, because he killed JXT.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a clip online if you can find it, maybe. Now, usually with a suicide dive, most guys jump through the second rope, and the guy on the outside is basically there to catch him. He might fall back into the barricade. It looks cool regardless anyway. In this instance, Travis Banks sprints off the ropes, dives through the bottom rope, while JXT's back was still turned. everyone else in the arena knows what's coming except JXT, which I think is a nice little wrinkle. Which he could not see when Banks was going to hit him, which meant JXT went face first into the guardrail in front of him.
Oh, the look of total fear in those people sitting in the front row.
Yes. So that barricade pretty much went a few feet. Looked like it was just going to whack right into them.
Oh, yeah.
The loud clatter that noise made when he hit it, Jesus Christ. And holy shit chance to follow up with that. Which was, yeah, one of the spots of the night. Yeah, really, really cool. So, Scott, after watching a live wrestling show, I want to get your opinion on what you think of wrestling now. Do you see it in a different light now that you've witnessed it live and in person?
Well, for me, I would call myself a wrestling fan now. When we started the show, definitely no interest in it whatsoever. You know, I thought, oh, what the hell, you like wrestling?
Yeah.
There's got to be something good in it. Let's learn and see how we go. I don't have to commit to this podcast thing, you know, if I don't like it. Anyway.
You signed the contract in blood, sir.
Yeah, no.
We still got 4 years on that Austin versus McMahon story.
Oh, yeah. But after seeing wrestling live, even more so that when we watched The Wrestler, that gave me an appreciation for what they do. But seeing it live and seeing the type of bumps and hits these guys take in person.
Yeah.
And, you know, the creativity behind the characters, the comedy spots, the way they manage to keep it interesting. Like, you know, how much stuff can you do in a ring? Everything's been done before, surely. But they are still able to do different combinations of stuff. Keep the crowd ecstatic and interested, excited. You know, it's so hard. Like,
I would say wrestling is one of the most underrated art forms. And for it to be considered an art form is rightfully so, because it is. It is a performance art. It is improvisation. It's physical. It's everything like theater and soap opera and martial arts and like physical comedy and slapstick and all these things rolled into one.
And just keeping that balance to keep everyone interested.
Exactly.
Because everyone likes, you know, you keep saying that everyone likes wrestling for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some people hate the comedy spots. Some people hate brawling. But there was enough of everything to keep everyone interested, I suppose.
And that whole crowd was interested throughout that 3 hours. They did not die down one bit.
And I guess, as well, you know, being able to be there, I learned a lot about, you know, the size of the ring and stuff.
Yeah. You were surprised by that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how high the ropes are.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, if I was in the ring and I ran into the ropes, I would pretty much get clotheslined by the bar. I mean, I'm not that short, but, man, I couldn't believe how high the ropes were. So there was that one spot of the Jurassic Death Cult where Sid Parker, this lean guy, was standing on top of the top rope.
Yeah, incredible balance.
There's nothing to hold on to up there.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty high fall if you fall down. You know, I mean, wrestlers can take a lot, as we've seen through other spots we've seen over the podcast. But, yeah, no, it was really impressive.
The star power, I think, was the main thing that really surprised me in terms of, obviously, Progress as a promotion in the UK is a pretty popular one. And they've got a lot of really big stars in the independent scene. And seeing, like, Pete Dunne, who's, you know, in the WWE and who's UK champion in the WWE currently. And you also got Tyler Bate, who was there as well. And you had Trent Seven. And you had people who have shown their face up in WWE. Even Toni Storm was there. She showed up in the Mae Young Classic, which was a tournament WWE held. So you had various stars who had popped up in the mainstream as well, but still coming down I guess, back down to earth, I guess, to wrestle at independent shows and still doing the independent run. You know, it's still a traveling circus and people are still traveling and working, which is really, really cool to see.
But yeah, even with all those stars, the MCW wrestlers, you know, were up to that standard.
They were still on par with it. It didn't feel like either promotion was above the other. They both felt equally as important. Overall, I had a blast.
Oh yeah, loved it.
We're doing it again soon. We'll be at...
MCW Ascension?
Yes, we'll be at MCW Ascension, which is coming up very, very soon.
Well, I'm so glad we booked seats though.
I'm very glad we booked seats. Fuck me. 3 hours of standing.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
And we've got one of our friends coming with us this time.
We do. We have another friend coming with us this time, so that'll be good.
Who's totally not into wrestling at all.
Totally not. I am very curious to how he reacts to everything.
Well, we've mentioned before, oh, Anthony will get you on the show, and he just scoffs. He's the classic hates wrestling guy. So it'll be very interesting to see how he receives the wrestling. But
I think he's a bit more open-minded than we give him credit for. Because if he's willing to come to this, maybe he is a bit open-minded to it.
But I mean, I did invite him to come with us fresh after we saw MCW progress.
Yeah.
And had so much to talk about. And probably piqued his interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
And that's going to do it for episode 9 of Wrestless Radio. Just to let you know, this audio podcast is available on multiple platforms, like on our YouTube channel. There will be a link in the description to that, as well as Facebook at facebook.com/Wrestless Radio. Where are we on Twitter, Scott?
We're on Twitter at Wrestless Radio. So feel free to talk to us.
Yep.
Send us any comments, suggestions. Like this video, share it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, give us a rating, review, a like, a comment, whatever your heart desires. It is all appreciated. Of course, subscribe on our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page. That's going to do it for us. Thank you once again for listening. I've been Julian.
And I'm Scott.
And we'll see you next time on Wrestless Radio.